Hi, I'm Andrew Geller from Financial Systems Advisors, and I want to show you how to use data in finance to grow your business. Now, this is part one of a two-part series called The Past in Data, where we're going to focus on the data side of it. But firstly, I want to talk about navigating growth, which can be like following the signs. You have a destination in mind, you know you're heading north, so you jump on the highway, and as you get new information or some signs along the way, you follow them. And that's great for some people. You can totally end up at your destination that way. But a lot of people would prefer to use a map. Now, what is a map? A map is a model of reality. It's a model of geography, of spatial reality. And what it does is it simplifies reality in order for us to make decisions about reality. Now, you can choose a point of destination that you want to go. You can plot out the route that you want to get there, and it's probably going to be more efficient than just following the signs. But nobody uses maps these days. People prefer to use a GPS. And what is a GPS but a map, that model of reality, plus data? So at Financial Systems Advisors, what we're trying to do is build you a financial model, feed it with data so that you have a GPS for your growth. Now, in order for us to build your GPS for growth, we need to do a few things. One, we need to collect your data effectively. Two, we need to get insights from that data. And then three, we're going to make financial decisions based on these insights. Now, that's going to be in part two, making the financial decisions. You already have so many sources of data, whether it's stuff you're collecting yourself or it's coming from Google Analytics or social media. Any of these platforms are collecting data, whether you know it or not. Now, the problem is the data may not be clean. And this is especially true for data that you're collecting by hand or that your customers might be filling out, something like that. Two, they aren't talking to each other. So you have information from Google Analytics, but it's not telling you anything about how that's affecting, your overall cash flow or anything like that, or your data from social media. They're all coming from one place. You look at each of them, and that's great, but it's limited on what you can do with that information because really you can't tell what their impact on cash flow is, let alone cash flow, your overall valuation, which is actually what we're going to talk about in the next part. Now, only if you've collected the data in the proper way can you get the insights. You can't get insights from messy, unclean data. It's just not going to give you what you need. Your data needs to be clean, which is essentially the process that removes data that doesn't belong in your data set, such as spelling errors, duplicates, outliers, stuff like that. And your data needs to be connected. So you need a data schema to relate your many tables so that they are talking to each other. Now, once we've done that, we can perform queries on your data, and a query is how we get the insights from the data. So I'm going to show you a little example. We've got an example company called All Scream for Ice Cream. This is a simple example of data collection and financial modeling. They've got many tables. Some, like the products, are very simple. They got three products: ice cream, sorbet, soft serve, which each costs a certain amount. They're being sold through different sales channels. The store is the only one that they own themselves. They have sellers and all the information on the sellers. The sellers are selling products at different prices. They're getting orders from each of these channels. And of course, we can put this all together with a data schema that helps us understand how each of these tables are relating to each other. So if I skip to the dashboard over here, we can use that data schema in order to put together sort of this merge table where we understand everything together. And then we can pull out from this using queries all sorts of different information. We can do snapshots, which can all be filtered in different ways. We can do this by daily quantity and revenue. Each one of these graphs, you can see up here, it says equals query. That's doing the query formula in Google Sheets. That's how Google Sheets runs queries. And basically, with these queries, that's how we're pulling up all of these graphs. Just by doing one line of code, each one of these is pulling up a different thing. But for the sake of growth, I'm going to take you to one specific or a couple specific graphs. This is the first one. Again, you can see here, it's just a query getting us that information. And what this is showing us is average monthly profit per outlet by product and channel. So this is saying per store, how much profit are we getting per month? If it's blue, it's ice cream. If it's red, it's soft serve. If it's yellow, it's sorbet. So we can see here that the trucks are not selling anything but soft serve, and the retailers are selling ice cream and sorbet, but also not soft serve. So if we wanted to grow by expanding the products within our market, we could say, hey, should we sell sorbet and ice cream in trucks? And say, maybe that's not so traditional. So let's see, what if we sold soft serve in retailers? Now, this is a question that we're going to answer in part 2. So keep it in mind. Another question that we have is, what is the average? Well, another graph that we have is, what is the average monthly profit per outlet by sales channel? And we can see here that the East and the West are only using trucks. There's no retailers, there's no stores. So maybe if we wanted to expand geographically, we could put a store in the East and the West, because the store is taking up most of the profit in the North, and more than 50% of the profit in the South. So let's go with those questions. Okay, so basically these are the questions I'm leaving for part 2. We got the insights, but we need to understand how this affects our cash flow. If we go back to our slideshow, I can tell you, just to reiterate, we're trying to build you your GPS for growth using a financial model and data. An advanced system would look something like this, where you have your data sources all kind of being funneled into a data warehouse, which we're using BigQuery, which is by Google, and that we can use to help us understand our cash flow in the financial model and the data visualization. So your small business will grow when you're empowered to make data-driven decisions. I'm hoping that you get in touch with me today so that we can get started. Thank you.